Intersection between Pearl and Progress Drive, CCTV spots the car making a turn off course from Davion's house. CCTV would spot the car rapidly start accelerating, going from a calm 30 to over 90 miles per hour, but it would be too late, and the car would speed into the brick wall.
It was 5:34 a.m. when Mackenzie Shirilla's Toyota Camry vanished into darkness. Less than a minute later, that same car slammed into a brick wall at over 100 miles per hour. 2 young men died, 1 girl lived, but not without questions. Was this a tragic accident or the most calculated murder plot of a troubled relationship? From the first responders arriving to the painstaking reconstruction, every detail of this crash would be dissected. Brakes or no brakes, a lodged slipper, GPS data, threatening voice recordings, and the haunting possibility of motive. What started as a fatal car crash would end with an 18-year-old behind bars for life. Strongsville is a quiet Cleveland suburb, known for its manicured lawns, tidy cul-de-sacs, and good schools. It's the kind of place parents feel comfortable letting their kids hang out late on summer nights. In 2022, Mackenzie Shirilla was living what appeared to be a normal teenage life. She was popular, had a wide circle of friends, and was dating 19-year-old Dominic, or Dom, Russo. Dominic was known for his easygoing charm and loyalty to those close to him. Friends said he had big dreams, maybe college, maybe something hands-on like construction or mechanics. He had that kind of steady energy people liked being around. Davion Flanagan, the other passenger that night, was just 19 as well. He'd graduated from high school the year before, loved animals, and was working hard to build a life of his own. He was known for his kindness, his humor, and for being the type of friend who'd give you a ride home no matter how late it was. To their friends, the trio looked inseparable. But beneath that surface, cracks had started to form, especially between Mackenzie and Dominic. Their relationship had grown intense, sometimes toxic. Friends described frequent arguments, sudden breakups, and tearful reconciliations. Mackenzie could be impulsive, dramatic, and deeply emotional. Dominic, patient by nature, often tried to calm things down. But it was clear the two were locked in a volatile pattern that worried those closest to them. Still, nobody imagined it would end like this. On July 31st, 2022, just after 5:30 a.m., a surveillance camera on Progress Drive captured a single, chilling moment. A Toyota Camry speeding down an empty industrial road, approaching a T intersection. The car doesn't slow down, it doesn't turn, it accelerates up to 100 miles per hour before slamming straight into the wall of a business complex. Inside were Mackenzie, Dominic, and Davion. The crash was so violent that debris scattered over 100 feet. The building's wall cracked. Neighbors nearby later told reporters they heard what sounded like an explosion. When police and firefighters arrived, they found the car completely destroyed. Dominic and Davion were pronounced dead at the scene. Mackenzie was airlifted to a hospital in critical condition, but survived. At first, investigators assumed it was an accident. Teenagers, speeding late at night, it was heartbreaking, but not unusual. They believed fatigue, alcohol, or distraction might have played a role. But as detectives examined the scene, details didn't add up. There were no skid marks, no evidence that Mackenzie had tried to brake or steer away from impact. The car's black box data later confirmed that she had the accelerator fully pressed moments before the crash, holding steady until the moment of collision. This wasn't a loss of control, it was full throttle. Investigators soon obtained surveillance footage showing the Camry moments before the crash. It captured the eerie acceleration, the kind that felt intentional. The car didn't drift or swerve, it stayed locked in a perfect, deadly line. When Mackenzie woke up in the hospital, she claimed to remember little about what happened. But the questions were only just beginning. The Strongsville Police Department began piecing together the hours before the crash. They pulled social media posts, phone records, and witness statements. What they found painted a troubling picture of the night before. On July 30th, Mackenzie had been seen arguing with Dominic. Friends recalled that she was angry, emotional, and possibly under the influence of marijuana. At some point, the couple met up again, and Dominic agreed to get into the car with her, perhaps believing the fight was over. They picked up Davion shortly afterward, likely just for a ride home. Investigators found videos from Mackenzie's phone showing her laughing and vaping earlier in the night. Nothing suggested immediate danger, but tension was clearly present. When detectives downloaded the Camry's onboard data, they found that 5 seconds before the crash, the accelerator was at 100%. There was no evidence of braking. The steering wheel was locked straight ahead. In the simplest terms, someone held the gas pedal down and never stopped. Police began treating the crash as a potential homicide. Toxicology tests showed THC in Mackenzie's system, but no alcohol. While drugs might have impaired her, the deliberate acceleration and clean trajectory told a different story. Investigators met with prosecutors and traffic reconstruction experts. Every piece of digital data supported the same theory. Mackenzie Shirilla had intentionally driven the car into the building. As one investigator put it, this was not reckless driving. This was a mission. The Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office took over. They reviewed every second of footage and concluded that Mackenzie had weaponized her car. She was indicted in 2023 on multiple counts, including 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of felonious assault, and aggravated vehicular homicide. When news of her arrest broke, the community was stunned. How could a teenager, barely out of high school, commit something so violent, so irreversible? In court, prosecutors argued that the crash was a premeditated act. Mackenzie, they said, had threatened Dominic before, warning she would crash the car if he ever tried to leave her. Witnesses claimed she'd said things like, "You'll never leave me." Her defense attorneys countered that she was an inexperienced driver who made a fatal mistake. They claimed the crash was an accident fueled by marijuana, emotional distress, and youthful impulsivity, not murder. But the evidence told its own story. In August of 2023, prosecutors presented the data recorder evidence showing how Mackenzie pressed the accelerator to 100% for at least 5 seconds before the crash. They showed surveillance footage to the court, silent but devastating. The car's headlights glowed in the darkness, accelerating toward the wall without hesitation. The courtroom fell silent as the impact played on screen. Judge Nancy Margaret Russo, who presided over the bench trial, later said the video spoke volumes. There was no panic, no attempt to brake, no sign of surprise. Just determination. In her verdict, Judge Russo declared, "She had a mission, and she executed it with precision." Mackenzie Shirilla was found guilty of murder on all counts. On August 21st, 2023, Mackenzie Shirilla, now 19 years old, stood before the court for sentencing. Her family wept quietly behind her. The families of Dominic Russo and Davion Flanagan sat across the aisle, clutching photos of their sons. When given the chance to speak, Mackenzie sobbed, saying she wished she could take back what happened. She told the court, "The pain I caused is unbearable. I'm sorry for everything. I'm not the monster they say I am." But for the victims' families, the apology could never be enough. Dominic's mother, Christine Russo, described her grief as a life sentence. She said, "He was my whole world. Every day I wake up, I relive the moment I found out my son was gone." Davion's loved ones echoed the same heartbreak. They remembered his laugh, his kindness, his plans for the future, all wiped away in an instant. And in Strongsville, the crash site became a haunting symbol, a place where the line between accident and intent was forever blurred. In the end, The case of Mackenzie Shirilla forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth about human emotion and consequence. It's easy to think of murder as something calculated, cold, and distant. But this case revealed a different kind of darkness. One born from obsession, heartbreak, and teenage recklessness taken to its deadliest extreme. One moment of fury, one press of the accelerator, one irreversible choice. 3 lives forever changed, 2 lives gone, one young woman condemned to a lifetime of remembering. This tragedy reminds us that behind every high-speed thrill, every "it won't happen to me" moment, there's a fragile boundary between control and catastrophe. Because sometimes, love doesn't just break your heart, it destroys everything in its path.